Hi, friends. Welcome to Room and Board. This is Crowdfunding Countdown, where we take a look at every single board game campaign finishing up in the next week. And this one is a little different. I'm not usually wearing headphones. You normally can't see my computer. And the reason for that is I have had an enormously busy week. So this week will be slightly less involved than my normal weeks. I'm going to do the classic thing that I hate. And put myself in a corner, put baby in a corner, and just kind of do more of a first impressions. We're going to call it crowdfunding chat down. Hang out with me and look at the crowdfunding campaigns that are finishing up in the next week. And this next week takes place from September 22nd to September 30th. I'm just going to do from the next Thursday to next Friday. Again, I'm getting ahead. The reason for this change of format is a long story, but basically I've had a lot of work to do this week, and unfortunately I haven't been able to take the time to investigate with all the research that I like to do in these sorts of videos. So I'm sorry. I understand if you want nothing to do with me from here on out. If I've broken your trust, we've hit, I don't know, whatever episode this is. Usually I check, but again, this is on a different computer now, so I can't. But even though it is too late to be doing this sort of thing, and I would like to get out tomorrow morning, we have to cover all of the crowdfunding campaigns on Kickstarter and GameFound and BackerKit and Indiegogo and something called weirdcreepyfeet.com. No, that's for a different video. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna hang out and go through the campaigns, see what we can see, and I'll take the time and I'll edit out all the pauses while I look through and gather the information that I normally gather in advance and prepare to present in a mildly entertaining way, and I'll make sure it's extra boring. So if you get through this one, I mean, hey, honestly, let me know, because you deserve a medal. The entertainment stops here. And I'd like to specifically thank all of my patrons for making that happen. And we have some new patron shoutouts as well this week. So Thomas, Jeffrey, and Eric. Honestly, I'm going to shout you out next week too, because this isn't the usual crowdfunding countdown format. Headphones instead of a hat? What is this? Things in the frame? Yuck! But seriously, I'm incredibly grateful to you all for jumping on board, and all the patrons for your incredible support and the continued support of this channel. It really means a lot, and it is because of you that I have to do this right now, or else a demon from the bowels of YouTube will erupt through my computer and eat my soul and intestines in that order. Thankfully, they do the soul first, and then, because I presumably wouldn't be able to feel anything, or anything less than I normally feel. We're getting off track. That's the type of video it's going to be. But thank you to all of my patrons for supporting the channel. It really means a lot, and it means that I will make these videos happen. And I am honored to continue to exist in this space with all of you. So let's get right into the games, switching it up. Look at that. I'm so small. You know the real reason why I don't like this sort of format. It's not because, you know, it's a little bit easier to go around. I'm not even on the right one. Jesus. It's not that it's like a little bit easier to go around. It's that I'm egotistical, and I want you to pay attention to me and only me. It's not that I like having this sort of, you know, talk show vibe to it. No. I want me to be bigger on the screen, and now we've just got this nonsense. Just despicable. But this is not what I usually cover. This is an RPG book that I did want to touch upon because one of my patrons sent me a link to it as well. And so some background on this: Dr. Grordbort apparently originated for the WETA workshops ray gun replicas, which are now unaffordable and you can't get them anywhere. And it has since progressed to Dr. Grordbort's universe. See, this is also why, because there's not enough movement happening on the screen right now. Let's just play this. I'm gonna get distracted by the oh, and this also shows that I can't cut because now it's running and they're all being linked together. It doesn't matter. It originated from this universe where steampunk meets golden age science fiction worlds such as Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, with a lot of awesome ray guns and, of course, scientific mayhem. There's a Martin Wallace board game from that universe, Onward to Venus, but it would also be nice to see a board game that captures that sort of humor and flavor. And so one of my patrons really likes this world and this sort of supplementation for the 5th edition D&D. So if you are interested in "It is a time of pipe puffing imperialists. It is a time of doughy freedom fighters.
rocket-fueled missionaries, and mad scientists of ray guns. Dr. Grordborts, robots, fabulous gizmos. And there's more gizmos up there, look at them.
So if you are interested in 5th edition and you want this sort of scientific mayhem that's got lots and lots of ray guns, check this one out. I'll put a link to it, like everything else, in the description below. And I don't know anything about 5e, but you know what? You had me at scientific mayhem and ray guns. I mean, come on. Scientific violence, that to me just seems like the elevation of all violence, right? And this is also, an RPG that's played on a board and is sort of more contained than perhaps any other RPGs as well. $40 for the hardcover, $25 US, $35 Canadian for the PDF. That seems okay, and that finishes on September 22nd at 11 a.m. Next up, we have Dune: The War for Arrakis. And yes, that is the correct pronunciation. It is Arrakis. And honestly, I haven't really looked into this that much, other than knowing that it is sort of based kind of along the War of the Rings system, and that it is a 2 to 4 player game. And so that means that it is a 2-player game where you gotta control yourself. This is where Slippery Jim would pop in if I was going to have the chance to edit this for anything other than pauses. Listen, this is surprising to me. You can see all what I see in Canadian now with this screenshot because I have my conversion set to Canadian. Again, this is another CMON campaign which hasn't raised $1 million. It has just, almost flopped, but comes an asymmetrical strategic board game where you can play 2 factions with 2 to 4 players. That's what I want in my 4-player games. Only 2 factions in a sort of team game mode that's pasted on. It's a 2-player game, right? War of the Ring was a 2-player game. The Devious Harkonnen. I do like Harkonnen, though. That's the thing. I really like Harkonnen. This is gonna be a rambling sort of first look at all of these things. And you know what? I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm just going to lean into it. Thanks for being here. We're along for the ride. Let's see if this video gives us any gameplay application at all, or if it just looks cool. Because it kind of just looks cool. Action dice guide your strategy. Oh, okay, that's cool. So this is sort of like dice placement, and then you set yourself up and you can lay down cards, and depending on what you roll probably means the number of actions that you can take in those areas. So maybe not dice placement, maybe just roll your dice and then you see what action you take, which, yeah. I mean, this video makes it look cool, right? But it's a video with, CGI and minis that look cool. So, and I mean, look at that sweet little worm. Which is better than my nickname in high school. Pathetic little worm. This honestly doesn't look bad. I mean, like, you know me. If you know this channel by now at all, you know that I am interested in CMON games, right? I keep wanting to talk to the camera, but then I realize that there's nothing interesting to be looking at. I like CMON games. I wish this again was at the $100 price point and not the $110 price point. They only have the one pledge, so it's $110, $146 Canadian. So at the end of this, after shipping, which we'll get down to, shipping's like projected to be something like $60 again, and that's why people aren't biting, or because people are still angry at Marvel Zombies and they have alienated their core fan base who just would back everything that CMON would produce. Baron Harkonnen must hunt down and destroy his opponents to gain complete supremacy over Dune, and Paul Atreides has a secret objective he must achieve by reaching hidden values on 3 different paths: Desert Dwellers, Jihad, and Kwisatz Haderach. That is the correct pronunciation as well. So this is just another reskinned War of the Ring, it feels like to me. It does say by the designer of the War of the Ring, and so that's why you're leading on that sort of asymmetrical thing, also known as Star Wars Rebellion as well. It's just the third one in that trilogy of everything that is the same. Chance line: by rolling their available action dice, players determine what actions they can perform, such as development, add units to strategy, leadership, and mental, drawing planning cards. That does sound mental. House Atreides' house action acts as a wild, while behind in actions, the Atreides can also use the desert power to summon sandworms. So Atreides gets to also work with the Fremen, I guess, thematically. I don't know anything about Dune other than Dune the board game. If you want a great Dune the board game, this one looks fun with cool minis. Like, how are you not gonna get on board for having a Harkonnen mini and a Sandworm mini that you can just stuff your people in? Honestly, that might be worth the price of admission for itself. But Kickstarter special, $30 discount. Okay, so you get a $30 discount. You get all these cool minis, 129 minis. That's good. They kind of front loaded it a little bit better for the price rather than assuming they would unlock stretch goals, because they won't, because nobody likes their company anymore. That's a nice paint job. So you get a $30 saving, and you can get some optional buys. Your stretch goals were just a few extras. There'll be sculpts. Honestly, come on, stretch goals are usually pretty good. But when we get down to, here are all the stretch goals with the sculpts. I'm sorry this isn't succinct. I know I said I would stop saying that, but I just, let me know if this, don't let me know. Tell me you love this format. I'll keep doing it. No, tell me that you love the other one, and I'm going to go back to it. Yeah, so you get a $30 savings, and you get to spend $58 getting it to your door. Is that something you want to do? The calculation seems very easy to me in that instance. Oh, wait. For me in Canada, it's $180 Canadian. Or what's that translated, around $250 US? It's not a $250 game. There are less and less $250 games out there. Maybe it's a $160 game for you. But again, you could just get it for $140 without the extras. So check the extras, make sure that you're interested in them. I like the concept. I honestly think it'll be really well done. Like, mechanically, I'm sure it'll be fun, and the minis will be super fun. But is it worth the price? Probably not. But if you're interested, that finishes Thursday, September 22nd at 9 p.m. Moving along, I'm not covering this. I just pulled this up for the joke. Ape Quest, The Search for Jeffrey. Now, this is a different spelling of Jeffrey than my patron Jeffrey, and that's why we're moving on. Now I am curious all right, let's go back. Let's watch the video. Let's at least click on the video and see what it is. Oh, thanks for welcoming me to Ape Quest. Yeah, it's about your monkey butler who has stolen your time travel trousers, and you have to fight your way through time and space to get him back. Honestly, Ape Quest, you got me with your theme. You really did. What you got? Oh, that's kind of cool. This is kind of cool. You'll have a little battery level, basically, and then every time you use a weapon or an equipment, you use that amount of battery power, basically, and then you throw it back. I mean, it looks fine. All right, let's check the price. 19 pounds, 29 bucks Canadian. For a little card game, there seems to be a little bit of randomness in it, and the card game is more it seems pretty simple. I do like this weaponry idea. And honestly, the art's funny. It is funny. Having an orangutan butler named Jeffrey, spelled incorrectly, unlike the true Jeffreys out there. And then you're also playing as alternate time versions of the professor from the parallel universe. So there you go. Anyway, that's it for Ape Quest. You have until Sunday, September 25th, to check out that campaign at 8:59 a.m. We're moving on to the 2023 gaming calendar, the 10th annual board gaming calendar from Scott King. I've never heard of this gaming calendar before, but that's Scott. No, that's Scott King up there. I like board game calendars. I'm on board with board game calendars. I'm actually getting Katya's mosaic calendar this year, and I'm quite excited to have that on my wall. So unfortunately, Scott, I'm sorry, but I only need one calendar in my life. Well, that's probably not true. I probably need a lot more than one. I probably need quite a few, judging by how the weeks are piling up. But it's kind of cool is that you can basically mix and match what your choice of calendar will be. I don't know if everybody's voting on it, or I was just thinking in my head, you should know, you stupid idiot. That's why you're on the YouTube, and that's why people tune in, not for your 5 out of 10 looks. You can tell I've had a very long, tired week. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop apologizing. But your Canadian comes out. It comes out when you're tired. That's what it does. Up to 10 custom holidays. Oh, that's great. We can get 10. You get, if you purchase this calendar, you get yourself 10 holidays. Not one holiday more. So pick them out, and you get those holidays throughout the year. And your boss has to tell you and has to accept that those are the holidays that you're getting. I would choose the month of Chris, which is actually 3 months, where you just get to play board games all day. And you pick the 3 months. It's February to April. It's winter, but you come back after New Year's. Make sure you take Christmas. Make sure you take New Year's. Then take the month of Chris, which is only one holiday, and then take. You have to take St. Patrick though, because it does fall in that time, and Valentine's Day because it does fall in that time, and Easter because it does fall in that time. So it counts as one holiday, but you have to take the holidays that it encompasses. And then so that's 6. You get 4 more holidays. Halloween, obviously. 4th of July, I think, earns a spot. Labor Day weekend, and my mother's birthday. Those are your 10 holidays that you get if you're getting this, and it's legally binding to your boss. Calendar's $28 US instead of $38 Canadian. This is a copy of the base calendar. Oh, or for $10 more, you can get the custom calendar. That makes sense. I think the Mosaic calendar was a little less money, and I think a little bit more exciting to me personally, because it's like a creation, right? That's using pieces. I don't know. I'm excited to get mine. So, but if you haven't gotten a calendar, and that pledge manager is closed, and you want some cool little board game photos on your wall, and you don't want to print them out on your own paper, and like a little printer chump, all of my photos are just printer paper. That's not true. I do have this bit where I print out pictures of my friends' faces when they're coming over, and I stick them over top of each other by the wall, right by the door when they enter, so they can know that I've been thinking about them and that I have their portrait hung up. So that is a bit that I do, and I don't waste the good photo paper on that bit either. But if you're interested in getting this calendar, check that out. That finishes Monday, September 26th at 1 p.m. Moving along in the longest crowdfunding countdown in the history of the universe, we have Keyforge, The Winds of Exchange, and I can play this, and I actually have something to say for once in my damn life. The thing about Keyforge, I like Keyforge a lot. Keyforge, the premise of Keyforge, if you don't know, you were going to get these decks of card, and every deck is unique. There's an algorithm that would pump out unique decks, unique combinations of cards, and even the cards themselves would be slightly changed depending on the balance of the decks as well. And so it was sort of like a collectible card game, but you didn't have to do the deck construction yourself. You just would get these packs of decks. And honestly, something that takes out the deck construction aspect of it feels pretty neat to me. But the thing about Keyforge is they got hacked. Their whole system got hacked, basically. This is what I heard the other day from Zach and Yuval, saying they got completely hacked. Yeah, GameFound is using my cookies. I don't care. GameFound can eat my damn cookies. Sure. They got completely hacked. Somebody hacked the system and took their algorithm and basically put it out for the world to have. And so it essentially made the decks obsolete because anybody could print them, and their like proprietary algorithm was no longer functional and was no longer a secret. And so people could mess with the decks, or it would be easier to create forgeries. It was a whole mess. And so now, and they basically went out of business. That's what happened. And so now they're trying to revamp themselves and get back in the game. It says it's a new company by Christian T. Peterson, the original founder of Fantasy Flight Games, is now trying to revive Keyforge with some new signs of life. And this is cool. That story honestly makes me want to try it out. The gameplay is really simple. You're going to be playing cards either in front of you, and then you'll attack your opponent, and they can choose if they defend or not. If they don't defend, then you kind of get a hit, and you can steal little gems from them, and you use 6 gems to forge a key, and if you forge 3 keys, you win. That's the premise of the game. So if you have a 6 or more amber, you must forge a key, and then Also, in each deck, there are 3 different types of houses. You can only choose to activate one of those houses. So depending on the cards in your hand, or depending on what you have on the board, you say, okay, I'm activating the alien house, and you can then shoot your alien people and maybe add new alien people from your hand. So it's this balance of the things that you've already put out on the board versus the things that you want to get out as well and add to your lineup of defense. So honestly, I really like Keyforge, but here's the thing. This is their cheapest tier at $50 US, which is like $70 Canadian. And then plus we have shipping, which I don't know why I can't. Let's get to it. Let's just get to it. You know I'm going to talk about it. Shipping to US is $12 or $10, and then Canada's $19, Mexico 27, and then this is all the other shipping. So like $12 on average to a lot of places. Or if you're Canadian, then you're looking at that sort of $19 to $20 range. $26 if you're getting everything. And so you're looking at like $75 US to, which is like $100 Canadian. And the thing about Keyforge is that if you're not interested in playing in like the competitive circuit, and you don't really need to, you can just get a bunch of decks off the secondary market for like, I don't know, $3 or $4 each. You'll find them somewhere. You'll find them in different places. That's how I've gotten into Keyforge. And so getting into them in that way makes me a little less inclined to spend $100 Canadian getting myself more Keyforge to my door, when that way of playing them is perfectly adequate. So I'm a little disappointed that the bar to entry is so high. If it was like $20 and you got yourself 2 or 3 decks, I would pull the trigger on this 100%, because I do like Keyforge, and I would like to support the reinvention of it and the reinvigoration of the system, because I think it's a fun little system. It's a good what's the word, 2-player head-to-head card game.
So it's just like Duel Monsters.
Yeah, I mean, how did you get on the campaign page? So it's too bad that it is so expensive, and I also think it's kind of stupid that in the starter set, which they force upon you, they're like, you get 2 introductory sets, okay? And then you get 2 real decks. I'm like, I don't care about the introductory sets. Make them at least 4 decks, right? Like, I just don't think you get enough value here to warrant purchasing it. And that's too bad, because it's something that like I really wanted to support, but obviously I didn't want to support it that badly. But if you are interested in that, check it out. That finishes September 9th. That finishes September 27th at 12:59 a.m., aka Monday night. We're not covering this because you don't want to be mean to 12-year-olds today. Moving along, we've got Dawn of Ulos, a role-player tale. Manipulate the rise and fall of mortals and shape new worlds in this tile-laying game for 1 to 5 players. That's kind of interesting, because I've never known role-player to be a tile-laying game. I know it's a different game than that, because I've never played it. But let's find out what Dawn of Ulos is, and I'll tell you after I watch the video. Or maybe we'll learn nothing from the video, which is always a chance. We're going to learn nothing from the video. It's going to look pretty, but we're going to learn nothing from the video. Ulos. I do like the art, though. That they got that going for them. I might be wrong. Okay, so I've looked through this a bit, and that's what that music was. If you've heard of the game Acquire, which is actually taking place at the World Series of Board Gaming, happening next week in Las Vegas, this is the fantasy version of that. You're going to get some tiles, and you're going to create like a hub for your faction, basically. This is as far as I can tell. Again, I'm not reading through the rule books on this because it's too late. It's too late in the day. And so you'll establish like these bases, and you'll gain rewards on the board. And you'll also gain like cards of specific factions that you can then purchase cards of. And so you can have influence of those factions in your hand. And then when 2 factions meet, there's going to be a battle, and the winner, the person who contributes more cards from their hand, will wipe the other faction off the board, and you will presumably lay claim to their territory. And this is kind of neat. But it's basically stock prices, right? You can get in early, and then you want to build up your specific faction that you have actual sway in. And then you can also sell those faction cards to get money, which will help you purchase more factions down the line. Whereas Acquire's played on a sort of square grid. These are hexagons with different tile type. That's kind of what it feels like to me just by looking at it, and that kind of feels fun. $59 US, or $79 Canadian for a bunch of tiles, and you can get a bunch of those metal tokens. Do look nice. We got a bunch of previews and $10 shipping. $10 shipping to US. That's pretty good. So it's $69 US, or it's $79 US, and that's, you know, $110 Canadian for me, for what looks to be, you know, a sort of average fun little game. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I don't see anything that makes me want to spend that price point on it. But if you're interested in that seems interesting to you, check it out more. That finishes next Tuesday, September 27th at 5 p.m. Next up, we have Roco Ranger, a creature capturing print and play game. Choose a starter, capture, and battle. Train your team to take down the champion. So it's Robomon, the spinoff. I'm pretty sure somebody stole my amazing idea that I came up with talking about Robomon last week, and they put it into this thing, because I don't know when this campaign was published, but I'm pretty sure this is my idea, and I should be getting some royalties. But this is a $5, €5 print and play, where you can get definitely not Pokemon. I did say Pokemon because I couldn't tell if I was going to do Robomon or not. You'll get a player board, and you'll get a number of move selections that you're able to take, so you'll be able to plug in as your people move up in the ranks. They'll learn better moves, and then presumably those moves can be used to take down the bosses at the end. Oh, and this is fun too. It says you can help give names to all the Roco species on Instagram or Discord, so you can name all the Pokemon not Pokemon. I see this in so many Kickstarters, and maybe I'm just feeling sassy. It says, support a small business with big dreams. I don't care about your dreams. I care if your game is good, basically. Yeah, I'm sassy tonight. That's why we skipped that other one. So, you know, the 12-year-old didn't have to experience the angry ramblings of a straight white man on the internet. Straight quarter Lebanese man, okay? Don't sell yourself short. I shouldn't publish this rest of this. All right, fine. Let's look at the rules. So basically what will happen is you'll know the two Pokemon that you're gonna, let's just call them Pokemon. You'll know the two Pokemon that you're gonna be facing when you face off against a regional leader, aka a gym leader, or a Rogo, who knows, a Roku streaming service device in the wild. They'll roll a dice, and that'll determine what move they do against you, and then you'll choose your move, and then you probably have to roll a dice to see how much it hits, basically. Yeah, this one looks pretty fun. And for only $5, if you like print and plays, you're going to just basically scratch off an X to see where you go and where you go towards the final gym leader. And you have to, you know, pass back and forth. Yeah, seems like it could be a fun time. I feel like this is kind of a twice and, you know, never touch it again scenario, but, you know, you play it for $5. That's pretty good. So check that out if you're interested. That finishes Wednesday, September 28th at 5 p.m. Next up, we have Merchant's Cove Mastercraft. This is a big box expansion for the critically acclaimed Merchant's Cove, and you see all the little game of the year there, so they must be doing well. It's fantastic. I love this game so much. People love this game. People can't stop talking about Merchant's Cove. Merchant's Cove, if I recall correctly, was a... look at those. That's some nice accolades. It's sort of like a little mini game, asymmetrical style board game. You're all going to have your own little mini game for your pirates or your merchants or whatever style of merchants you have, basically. Oh, you're going to get some paladins in this one. And the Faction Festival. Yeah, it says it's an asymmetrical Euro game where each player takes the control of a completely different fantasy merchant, such as the alchemist, the captain, the chronomancer, or the blacksmith. And now this one, you're going to have a paladin. You're going to have a little troll goblin that absolves people. You're going to have a little bakery, and you're going to have a little mushroom, too. They can all do different things. But the thing about this is that you need the base game in order to play. So if you are interested, now is the time where you can get Merchant's Cove. The regular game, the Mastercraft, which is the expansion, is $69 US, and then if you'll look to the side, the base game is $79 US, and then you can get a bundle of everything for $214. So they're expecting you to go, hey, I want the base game and I want that, so I guess I'll get the bundle deal right here and just click on that and you know, not do the math. And feel like you need the Secret Stash expansion and all the other sort of stuff. Honestly, I got no qualms with this one. I've heard good things from their video that they just told me. That's where I've heard them. No, and I know people on YouTube were also excited in the comments. A few people said that they were backing Merchant's Cove this time around. And if you look at something like 401 Games, Merchant Cove is out of stock, but it's also being sold for $67.95. So you'll have to decide for yourself if you can get it cheaper. Yeah, $68.95 at Board Game Bliss as well. It's sold out at my 2 places, so this would be a place to get it. I'm not sure as to the availability of it, but yeah, the asymmetrical Euro game that's honestly been having decent reviews. And has made it into the top 1,000 on Board Game Geek. That's not so bad. However, like anything, we have to check the shipping, and that's going to be $18 to $24, and then an additional copy is still going to charge you money. So it doesn't seem like there's that much savings in a group pledge. You'll save $5 each, basically. So $24 to get it to me in Canada. So again, that's $79 US plus $24 or even $18. Let's say $18. So $97. It's still, to get the base game, it's going to be $100 US or like $130 Canadian. And it was in stock at 401 Games and Board Game Bliss for $70 Canadian. It just doesn't make sense to pay for that shipping as well. But if you're interested, check it out. That finishes Wednesday, September 28th at 5:59 a.m. Next up, we have Gelatinous Cube Jelly Soap. Yeah, I clicked on this because I thought it was funny. And you know what? I stand by it. I'm pretty sure I was right. Because look at this actual soap. This is a vegan soap that that jiggle and jelly, that jiggle just like, you know, an RPG monster, and also will hold dice inside of it. But you can wash your hand. That's what I don't understand, is that you're just squishing this soap, and if you squish it too hard, obviously your hand's going to go right through it, or it'll devour your hand. Do you really want to take the risk? I don't think you can. That you can be washing your hands and suddenly they're gone. Suddenly they're encased in this gelatinous cube, and then you go out, you go on your day-to-day, you gotta go get groceries, you go on the daily, you go to your door handle, and it just absorbs that as well, and then you're fused to the door handle, and then you're shouting for somebody to come. Your Amazon driver is delivering a package, or say, help me, help me, breaks down the door. He's a hero. You look into his eyes, you finally feel something that you've never felt before. He leans in towards you, you say, thank you, my darling, and you reach up with your hands just to like caress his face, and suddenly, boom, gelatinous cube takes over his face, consumes his body like a Fortnite chromium skin. You know that I am recording this late because Fortnite came out today. Not that I was playing it and not doing my work. I would never do something like that. I don't know. This seems funny, but it's also $20 for a single bar of soap. And honestly, if soap cost that much, I would never be clean in my life. But if you're not a dirty, naughty little boy like me, well, then check it out. That finishes Thursday, September 29th at 10 a.m. All right, next up we have Forsaken, and I'm going to take a little bit of time and look through this campaign just because I know that that a lot of you are interested about this one. So I'm actually gonna take some time. And here we have something filmed that's clearly in Quackalope's living room. Not that I've been there yet, but just the fact that it was in a previous video, the exact setup, and you could tell. So clearly this must be filmed by Quackalope. Good job, Jesse. Now here's the thing. Here's my initial hesitations with Forsaken. I'm getting serious. I've actually focused for once in this damn video because I know that this is important. Because it's also $129 or $172 Canadian. That's before shipping, but you get a total value of $189. So they say. At least they're not saying it's worth it. It's worth it. Just do it. Here's my thing about Forsaken. All that they show you in the video is nothing to do with the gameplay. They tell you it's going to be a big story, and they tell you that there's going to be the coolest components that you've ever seen. While that is a draw for a lot of people, and that's kind of the direction that this hobby is continually going with, premium components and deluxeified everything and stick it all in plastic and wrap it in bacon and then deep fry it and mold it in plastic again. That's in one of the games that's on your shelf. It's true. I've snuck into your house. I've replaced the components with those specific bacon components, and you better get to them before you, are too hungry to go to school, or I don't know where that went. Or before they start to rot, and you should probably be able to smell them. If you do figure it out, I'll give you your actual game components back. But back to the matter at hand that I said I was going to get serious about. My worry with this, 45 to 60 minutes per player, That's cool. It's an immersive narrative adventure where you take the role on a character, so it's a big sandbox style game. Sure. I think there needs to be more focus in the marketing material about like how much content there is. They mentioned that there's 130,000 words, which is a cool stat for me. But they also just really seem to say, hey, listen, this game is going to look really, really great. And it just looks great. And don't worry about how it plays, but because it looks great. And honestly, well, I had that in my past relationships, and it did not work out well. That's what all of my exes were saying about me. No, and then I'd have to look great. You know, this being game trays, it's going to be blinged out to the nines. There's going to always be these sorts of player boards. Hopefully, it will be optimized for any sort of setup, and you can get all these different characters. Sure, that's fine. I'm just nervous about how it's been presented, because I'm still scrolling and I still know nothing about the game. But that's how a lot of Kickstarter campaigns go, honestly. They try to just throw stuff at you and then tell you that you need that stuff subliminally without actually telling you why you need that sort of stuff. They're going to have this same sort of thing that Dead Reckoning has, that you throw, like a cube tower almost, that you throw dice in and they fall out wherever they land. That's what happens, or that's how much they're worth, which is cool. There's something epic about that. This premise is also really cool, though, that you have these different modules that you can play with your class and experience the world in a whole different way, but I'd argue that you're not gonna. So it's action points. On your turn, you can have 3 actions. You can take a number of actions. You can construct additional pylons. That's what it says here. You must construct additional pylons. I know it said it. This right here is, they have a link to the encounter examples. It says, big spoiler warning. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything. And even if I did, it wouldn't matter when I tell you that you might encounter a dog and you might be a robot and not know how to play with the dog. But then your robot soft heart takes the stick out of the dog mouth and throws it, and then he becomes your pal and you get him as an item. Sorry for spoiling. Are you going to remember that? No. Will it make it less impactful? No. These are good examples of what you can expect, and you shouldn't be afraid of spoiling the story for you. A story that has 130,000 words in it by reading, 30 of them. I think you'll be okay. You should see if this is the type of story encounter system that you like and that you might encounter. There's going to be a bunch of cards, right? There'll be a thing that happens, and depending on what you do, you progress in a certain way in this sandbox. So it's going to grow more and more as you go along throughout the game. But I do like what they're saying, is that the encounters will be personalized for you. I'm just, again, skeptical. I'm also glad that they have the Foreteller app, and that it is in a book and not a bajillion cards. If it was in a bajillion cards, I was going to lose my damn mind. But it's not, so we're okay. Did I pass a rule book? Rule. Yeah, see, I hate this shit. Sorry for my language. You keep talking about the story in the game, but could we see some examples? Sure, just beware. We can't show you the full power of our encounter system without some spoilers. Peruse at your own peril. Don't buy into this garbage. Read the examples. Make an informed purchasing decision. I hate when companies do that. I think I'm just grumpy and tired as well. But this is an interesting spin on the question. Have you considered the environmental impact of this plastic? They say, unlike most plastic, you're supposed to keep this. So it's okay that we use plastic and, really go to town on it. But if you want to recycle them, you can recycle them, which is good to know they are recyclable. But it's really just a spin on, well, the other plastic is bad plastic, and these are good plastics. They're good plastics because you get to play with them. Joke's on you. You haven't seen my black plastic container fort that I crawl into every night when I'm kicked out of the house for being too sassy. I'm disappointed that there is not a very clear link to a rulebook. Maybe I missed it. I'm going to scroll through the entire campaign page again before we talk about shipping to see if I can get a potential rulebook to look at that's not a how to play video. Click to preview the rulebook. There we go. It's right on the how to play section. So I'll be back in a second after I read this rulebook to make sure, because I think we're going to finish it here for today, and I'll have hopefully carve out a bit more time this week so that next Mondays can be a supersized week and just pass the buck to future Chris. Honestly, I've never liked him anyway. I don't think he'll ever achieve great things. So let's just throw some work on him, and maybe I can go to sleep. Honestly, not too bad for prototype rules. Only 26 pages. That's pretty good. And look at all these. They have to have just not loaded. Oh no, this is just because they don't know what they'll look like yet. But their whole deal is that they have such great components. You would think that that would be the first thing to be plopped in there. I do love that setup seems like it's going to be easier with game trays, to be fair, because it always just goes right back in, right? Like, say what you will about game trays, and I have in my Townsfolk Tussle unboxing, which it was not exact, and it was very strange that there were some choices made in that storage solution that I was really excited to get going. I am less enthused about game trays after that. There were just some really easy fixes that should have been caught. Your goals are the same: to live your life in a way that you are never forgotten. So get to 10 points, right? Nope, 16 points. See, the people who only get to 10 points, 10 legacy points, as most sandbox games are, they have been forgotten. It is if you get to 16 points, you truly become a legend. And this is kind of cool. It does say if you get to 16 points, if you're focusing on your personal storyline, you might get to finish it. Some people won't. If you played the long game, 20 points, most people will finish their stories. And if you play the short game, 12 points, nobody will finish their personal story. And that's kind of a nice range to decide what you're interested on focusing on. And that's also one way to end the game as well. Or if the encounter deck is completely done, then there are no more encounters to be had, and you're like, oh, I guess I can't live my life anymore. There's nothing left to do on these hunks of rock. So this is your character breakdown. You're going to have your little special ability here. This is what's known as the legend loop. And so basically whenever you get points, you have to go around the legend loop once to get 1 point. So it just lets you kind of scale the points in a different way. Than everything gets you 1 point. That way some things can get you half a point, and you're halfway to becoming 1/16 of a legend. And then that's like your health and that sort of stuff. Finally, 14 pages in, we get to the how to play. See, admittedly, this is what I do with all of them, and make sure I know and understand and can convey the sentiment of the game to you all. But for a few of them, I certainly did not do that this week. But again, I think Forsaken feels like it deserves that treatment. I feel like the CMON game should have deserved that treatment as well. But, you know, if you're going to spend that much on shipping, I don't think knowing what the game's about is going to be any benefit to you whatsoever. I think you're just going to go for it. All right, here's the thing. It's the main meat of the game is going to be the encounter step. There's the action step where you can move around and you can recollect your gear. It says you can use gear that gives you special abilities. That if you're beside a pylon or a spot, you can pick up your gear. And so you want to optimize that puzzle as you run back and forth and deal with things. Yes. And you're going to be traveling around on different planets. That's cool. But the main meat of the game is absolutely going to be the encounter step. So if that encounter step does excite you, and your favorite games are something like Dead of Winter, and you like the Crossroads system, and you like making those choices while interacting on a board and feeling like you're moving around, but partaking in this giant story, I think then this is something that you should consider. The combat seems okay with the throwing the dice into a tower and seeing where they land rather than just rolling a dice, because it's fun. Honestly, that's the reason. And then seeing if a special symbol comes up or not, and then it does double the damage of wherever it lands. But you can see that the map spaces themselves as you move around, and if you're adjacent to like certain encounter systems, these blue ones you must do, these red ones you don't have to do. I think that's what it said. And you go around these different bases and try to collect stuff. But again, like the draw here needs to be that encounter system. That's after reading through the rule book and seeing, oh, there's really not that much like mechanical substance here. It feels like it's going to be a lot tied into the encounter. So if you want to pay $154 US to get it to your door, if you live in the US, or for me in Canada, it would be $130, $167. It would be $166 US, so $200 Canadian to get to my door. There's not enough here mechanically. The art is gorgeous, though. Look at that. I love seeing it up close, right? And seeing the blown up pictures of it. That's so cool. That's really cool. The character design is awesome. The production design is also going to be awesome, but I just don't think mechanically it's something that'll really scratch the surface for me. So it's not an actual meaningful consideration for me. But if you are interested, check it out. The finish is Thursday, September 29th at 5 p.m. And we're going to stop there. There were a few more that I was going to cover of September 30th. We'll just switch back here. Of September 30th and beyond. But next week, next Monday, I'm going to do a supersized crowdfunding countdown where we will cover up to a couple weeks from now, because likely the week after that, I'm not going to be able to do one because I will have spent the whole week in Vegas, and I won't even have the time to do this slap half-assed piece of garbage video that honestly, I'm so grateful that you've stuck around and hung out for, and I just appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully you found something of value in that, going through, potentially talking about things that you haven't seen on other channels, like like this gem. Let's just let that play. I mean, you do get dice with this $20 piece of soap, but yeah, let's just leave that pause as we talk about but yeah, no, I hopefully you did get something out of this video. I appreciate you hanging out. Every week I do a pick for me and a pick for you, and this week is no different. I just have to figure out what the pick for me and the pick for you is. Honestly, I think most is overpriced, but the thing that draws me in the most, and this will be my pick for me, is Merchant's Cove. I remember looking into the first one back when it happened, and I remember this hitting the table, and I wasn't sure about asymmetric Euro game, right? I wasn't sure about doing your own thing while you're engaging in this separate game. But I do love what's drawing to me to this, honestly, is Massive Darkness. I guess we can stay back on the page. Is Massive Darkness 2? That is so fun to have your own mini game and then interacting with the main board. And so applying that in a sort of Euro nature, I think it also increases the variability because you want to try out every faction, right? So in an age where honestly getting games off the shelf for more than 5 plays is less and less of a likelihood as the collections continue to grow, I think Merchant's Cove will fight for that reason to get it off the shelf, because you want to try that different variability. So Merchant's Cove is definitely the pick for me. My pick for you is nothing. It really is. I just feel like Merchant's Cove, for me, I would be interested in it at the retail level, because I don't need any of these extras. I don't need the actual expansion. I don't need that sort of stuff. And like I said, you can get it at 401 Games for $70 Canadian instead of $130 Canadian or whatever it was. Yeah, Merchant's Cove is that sort of for me. And for you, my pick for you is have a good sleep. Maybe that should be my pick for me. See, what do I have on hand? I think I've made, you know what? I think my pick for you is Letter Jam. We played that again the other day, and it was just a heck of a lot of fun. It's right here. That's why I thought of it. I need to do just a quick, full review of it, just to have it in the ether and telling everybody why it is a fantastic game. Under $20. If you like Hanabi, if you want Word Hanabi, a cooperative word deduction game, $20 for this, or 1/10 of what it'll cost to get Forsaken to my door as a Canadian. You can get a game that has more than 130,000 words. I can only assume you can make more than 130,000 words using most of the letters of the alphabet. I'm fairly willing to bet that my math will check out on that. So yeah, don't forget, in this age, again, this is just your reminder as, old wet blanket George over here. Don't forget that there are incredible deals at your local store that are always going to be better than the Kickstarter after the shipping, and that you can go out and get right now versus waiting a year and a half before you get to play them, and that your excitement dwindles. But if you are excited about any of these games, let me know. Please do. I am excited for you. I can't wait for for those games to arrive at your door and you can play them and be disappointed. But hey, at least you had a year and a half to be excited about it. So that's all that matters, right? No, let me know what you are excited about. Let me know what you are excited about upcoming. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know this was a weird format. It won't be like this moving forward. This was just a last ditch effort that I needed to get out tonight. This is the only thing that I was able to produce, and so you have my heartfelt apologies that this potentially wasn't up to the level of in-depth analysis, at least. And maybe it was, maybe it seemed like the same in-depth analysis, but I know to my core I always feel a little bit better when it is more structured and a little less rambly. So I appreciate you sticking with me. I appreciate you being here. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, but if I didn't, I'll mention it now. I'm trying to get a sponsorship deal from Into the AM, the graphic t-shirt company that's out there. And so I'm fairly certain that the code Slippery Jim will get you 10% off. I'll do a full ad for the next Crowdfunding Countdown, and I will need you all to click on it so that, you know, the Slippery Jim promo code can live on. But yes, there will be a Slippery Jim 10% off promo code coming next week for some really comfy graphic tees. But there's your little preview for that. Just because I think it's so funny, and also I like their products, so I don't mind actually talking about them genuinely rather than them sending me stuff to wear and then talk about them. Anyway, that's it for me. Honestly, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you a bunch. so much. I love this community. I love every single one of you more than your spouses and families and that weird person who was staring at you on the bus. I love you more than all of them. And I just appreciate being able to hang out, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. My name's Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase. If I didn't have a catchphrase for the last 175 videos, I am certainly not having one tonight. But I hope you all have a wonderful Monday morning, and see you next time.